Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I hate to be the one to break up the great conversation, and that's a hallmark of this event. But I'm happy to welcome you to the latest edition of the Offutt School Presents series. I'm Brewer Durand, Dean of Concordia College's Offutt School of Business, and I'll be your host this morning. We are absolutely delighted to welcome Inge Thulin, Chairman of the Board and CEO of 3M, as our speaker this morning. And also welcome to all the 3M folks who are here. There's a great turnout, and a lot of you are cobbers. We look forward to hearing from Inge after breakfast has been served. Founded in 2012, the Concordia College Offutt School of Business continues its work to provide a premier undergraduate business education focused on global understanding, entrepreneurship, ethics, and leadership. It is an exciting time for us as the Offutt School continues to grow substantively, and we expand our use of the Park Technology Center that was completed in January. Our newest majors in computer science and finance continue to grow dramatically. In May, we successfully debuted executive education at the Offutt School, and Susan Geib, the director of the Exec Ed program, is here talking to people this morning. This initiative features intensive 1 to 3 day short courses for mid and upper level managers who aspire to the C-suite, as well as an opportunity for companies to contract custom courses specifically designed for their needs. You'll find a table card on your tables showing some of our upcoming offerings, and we will continue to add new offerings throughout the year. I'd like to take a moment to recognize some notable members of our audience who are present today. First, from our Board of Regents, we have Corey Holland. I'm not sure. There's Corey. Rosa Miller. Jim Sensky. And the chair of our board, Randy Boschek. Also in attendance are Offutt School Global Leadership Council's Chris Mason, Stephanie Lundquist. Good morning, Steph. I didn't get to say hi. And Lowell Hellervik. Thank you. Also joining us today are 3 members of our National Alumni Board, Karen Polzine, there she is, Emily McGarvey, and Ryan McAdam. Please join me in thanking them all for their leadership as part of the Concordia community. Before we begin breakfast, I'd like to call on Dr. William Kraft, President of Concordia College, for an additional greeting.
Thank you, Brewer. Good morning. Good morning. It's wonderful to see you all here so early in the morning here in the Twin Cities. I want to add my greetings and welcome on behalf of Concordia College and its Offutt School of Business. Thank you for joining us. With Brewer, I add my delight in the fact that our presenter this morning is Inge Thulin, and my delight as well that moderating this morning will be Rosa Miller, another wonderful leader in the 3M tradition and a member of our Board of Regents. It's a pleasure to be with you once again to highlight issues of interest to the business community in the Twin Cities. It's an exciting time, as Brewer said, for the Offutt School of Business at Concordia College. This fall, we saw the strength of the Offutt School program emerging dramatically. There is a 65% increase in the number of incoming students declaring a major in the Offutt School of Business over 2 years ago. 65% in 2 years. You cannot imagine how happy that makes the heart of a college president. We opened the new James Park Technology Center, which serves our finance program, and you probably saw a picture of that a moment ago. As Dean Duran said, we have a collaborative program with the mathematics department and the Offutt School in computer science and data analytics, which is the fastest growing major now at Concordia College, a wonderful burgeoning program in finance, and an innovative program in executive education, as the dean has just said. Meanwhile, you know that presidents are professional boasters, so give me just a minute here. Meanwhile, just 2 weeks ago, we dedicated a state-of-the-art integrated science center at Concordia College, the largest capital project in Concordia's history, and we were so pleased to have as our construction partner in that endeavor McGough Construction, some of whose representatives are here with us today. We thank them for their skillful leadership throughout that project. We have also just learned this week, you may have seen some pictures of the Christmas program. Just this week it was announced that the 2016 Concordia Christmas program, which was featured at Orchestra Hall as well as on campus, won an Emmy. The Emmy was for Best Supporting Performance by a College President, and no, the Emmy is for Renee Clausen, as everybody in the room knows. And then, my last announcement, at Homecoming this year, we launched the largest comprehensive campaign in the history of Concordia. The RISE campaign will serve to enhance integrative, inclusive, and innovative education for all of our students, including those who come to Concordia to study business. I'm delighted to say that against a $150 million goal, we stand already at $119 million this morning. And if I ask Carol to lock the door, I think we can finish it right now. One of the pleasures of homecoming every year is to welcome the 50th anniversary class. I looked out at the class of 1967 this year and I thought, they're getting younger every year. I like their music, everything. I realize I'm getting closer and closer to that stage myself. One of the most distinguished members of that class is the Reverend Paul Harrington, who will provide our invocation this morning. He's a 67 grad, as I said. He embodies the Concordia mission to influence the affairs of the world through his dedication and leadership in the church. A person whose faith informed his learning and whose learning informed his faith. Paul is widely known here as the catalyst for building one of the largest Lutheran churches in the metro, the 9,000-member Shepherd of the Valley Lutheran in Apple Valley. He served as an interim pastor at Luther Seminary, on the boards of the Metro Lutheran Newspaper and Mount Carmel Ministries, on the Capital Campaign Committee of Lutheran Social Services, and as a trustee for Gustavus Adolphus College. You may not have heard of Gustavus Adolphus. It's a small Lutheran college south of the Twin Cities. Now in retirement, Paul continues to spread the good news by extending words of hope and comfort, forgiveness, and reconciliation. We at Concordia are thankful for his witness to the value of all of our Lutheran colleges, including our sister at Gustavus. We're proud to claim him as a Cobber. Please join me in welcoming the Reverend Paul Harrington.
Thank you, President Kraft. Good morning to all of you. This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I invite you to join with me in a moment of prayer. Good and gracious God, we pause at the beginning of this new day to reflect upon the many blessings that you have showered down upon us so freely, so bountifully, so predictably. Among these many blessings is this good land that we call our home, this place we call America. Continue, Lord, to look with favor upon this land, not that we are always worthy, often we are not, but that you are good. As we remember those who have gone before us and who gave of themselves to the task of building this nation, may we also be inspired by their witness and their fortitude and their sacrifice. And today we would ask that you look with favor upon all who are engaged in business and commerce, who thereby also contribute to the common good of our nation, its economy, its future, and most importantly, its people. We pray that you would keep us and all who labor this day from false dealings and deceptive practices, from excessive profits and unjust gains, from exploitive actions and irrational demands. Bless and prosper all who work for the common good of society, and help us to find real joy and fulfillment in our daily tasks as we, each one, come to a deeper awareness of what it means to be good stewards of your creation. May we always come to see that loving service to others is the highest form of labor that we can aspire to. So bless now our time together, our food and our fellowship, and send us forth from this place as salt and light and leaven, seeking always to do your will and to give of ourselves for the good of all who are in need. For all of these things, good Lord, and whatever else you see that we need, grant them, for we have prayed with hope and confidence in your strong, holy, and everlasting name. And all of God's people said, Amen. Bon appetit. Enjoy your breakfast.
As we begin our program, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Inge Thulin. Mr. Thulin began his career with 3M Europe in 1979 and assumed key roles in marketing, sales, and management until 2003, when he was appointed 3M's Executive Vice President for International Operations. In 2011, Inge was named Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. In less than a year, Inge was appointed President and Chief Executive Officer with the subsequent addition of Chairman of the Board. And forgive me if I go on a little bit with his introduction, but as I read about him, his values that he exhibits every day in business coincide so clearly with Concordia's and with the Offutt School's 4 foundational pillars of global mindset, entrepreneurship, leadership, and ethics that I just want to sort of pull a little bit of that together. 3M is a science-based company, and Inge recognizes the importance of investing in research and development. This investment extends to the elevation of the company's brand promise of 3M Science applied to life. 3M applies science in collaborative ways to improve lives and create solutions to global problems. With $30 billion in sales, the company's 92,000 employees connect with customers around the world. 3M consistently ranks among the world's most admired, most respected, and most ethical companies. The company has earned recognition by being named to Ethisphere's list of the world's most ethical companies for 4 consecutive years, while also being recognized as the company millennials would most like to work for. Take note, those of you who are students. Topping the 2016 Millennial Career Survey from the National Society of High School Scholars. Sustainability is ingrained throughout the company's portfolio of businesses. For the 17th consecutive year, 3M was listed on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index in 2016. A strong believer in teamwork and collaboration, Inge has invested significantly in leadership development programs for 3M's people. The return on this investment is reflected in 3M's recognition on Chief Executive Magazine's 2016 list of the best companies for leaders. Under Inge's leadership, 3M was also a winner of the prestigious 2017 Catalyst Award, which recognizes organizations for their commitment to diversity and inclusion, and is a founding member of the Catalyst CEO Champions for Change initiative. Inge serves on the board of directors of Chevron and the World Childhood Foundation, and on the advisory board of the National Society of High School Scholars. His external global business engagement includes membership on the Business Council, the Council on Foreign Relations, World Economic Forum, and Business Roundtable. Inge supports the community through membership on the Committee Encouraging Corporate Philanthropy, and in 2015, served as chair of the Greater Twin Cities United Way campaign. A native of Sweden, Inge earned degrees in economics and marketing from the University of Gothenburg. Inge has received many honors, including the Peter G. Business Statesman Peter G. Peterson Business Statesmanship Award from the Committee for Economic Development, the Lucia Trade Award from the Swedish American Chamber of Commerce, and the Hendrickson Medal for Ethical Leadership. Most recently, Inge was honored by Junior Achievement of the Upper Midwest, Inc. as the 2016 Business Hall of Fame laureate. Please welcome Inge Thulin, and we are so lucky to have you with us.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I thought first of all, I'm not from Norway, I'm from Sweden. But as you know, no one is perfect. So, and the reason why I'm here is I worked for Rosa Miller for many years. And when Rosa calls you, there's two things you have to. One, you have to stand up. And number two, you have just to accept what she asks. And she asked if I could come here and talk this morning. And of course, I agreed, right? So I agreed, stood up, agreed, and was sitting down. And I am here. And I thought what I would do this morning is, because I would like us to go as fast as possible to maybe Q&A. But I just would like to give you some perspective from my side and maybe some teaching points as well. And the teaching points are based on business that I have done around the world and also very pragmatic things in terms of simplicity in order to lead businesses. I have lived many places around the world and I've done business in both developed and developing countries. And when I say done business, I've lived there. So I've not been flying around with a dashboard and try to figure out what other people are doing. In fact, I've lived there. So I've lived many years in developing world, and I've of course lived in the developed world as well, in many places around the world. So the points I have in terms of advice, because I think I have some advice, I think they are very pragmatic and they're straightforward, and I believe in simplicity, which is an important element of communication. So first of all, talk about 3M. 3M's headquarters is here in Twin Cities in St. Paul, but we are a global company. We are 30 to 32 billion in sales revenue. We have a market cap of almost 130 billion today, and we have more than doubled the market cap the last 3.5 to 4 years. So that's then saying that, you know, change management is important. And even enterprises that are big can still drive consistent value creation. And I will talk about 3 things that will create more value for enterprises as we move forward. You see this 100 billion market cap plus. We put plus because we're moving upwards, right? And I think if you look now, it's like 125 or so. We invest 6% in research and development, and we have put that from 5.5 to 6% the last 5 years. So we're investing more in research and development, and I will tell you in a second why that's important for us. What is important also, we have 100 straight years of dividends payout. 100 years of dividend payout. So if you should invest money in terms of get dividends, I think 3M should be a good alternative for you. So we are 30 billion in revenue. You can see we have 5 business groups, but the biggest one is $10 billion US. So 10 billion is many companies actually listed on the exchange market. So our biggest business group is 10 billion. You can see that all others are in between 4.5 to around 6 billion. You can also see the margins for the total enterprise is 24%, and I go from healthcare of 32 to the lowest, which is electronic and energy of 22. So very good leverage, very good margins, and that's based on a vertical integrated business model that we are using. And this is 2016 results. Now, there is a clear vision for the company, and I like to take this opportunity just to describe what the vision is. Because I found out myself some years back that people don't really know what a vision should be and what it should include. And if you lead an organization, one of the most important things you need to have in place is a vision. People need to know the purpose of what you do and why you do it. So a vision has certain element into it. A vision is what you do, how you do it, and where you do it. It should be a stretch, should be authentic to you as an enterprise, and should not include any financial figures. Sometimes you see visions saying, oh, we would like to be so and so on in terms of financials. That's wrong. What you do, where you do it, how you do it. That is the important element. So if you think about this vision for 3M, what do we do and have done for over 115 years? We wake up every morning and ask us 3 questions. How can we advance, enhance, and improve? That's what we are. How can we advance, enhance, and improve? How do we do it? Technology, products, and innovation. And where can we do it? We can do it for every company, we can do it in every home, and we can do it for every life. So when you look upon that vision for 3M, that's real, it's our, we can stand behind it. Many can write it down, but very few can do it. We can do it. So this is important, and here you see every life for us is education, is healthcare, is sustainability, is community. So I think this is an important element that you have to, in anything you do, lay out for your organization so people know what is the purpose, where do we go from here, because that will also guide you relative to initiative coming your way. You will easily be able to say no or yes, and you can stand on the platform relative to what that means for you. We have a playbook that is, you should look upon the right and the left-hand side here. The left-hand side is basically what we hold on to every day. It's our vision. There is 6 strategies for the company. That's our code of conduct. And then there is our leadership behaviors. And if you can see it, there's one of the important elements of leadership behavior, which is development of people, saying, develop others and self. Doesn't say develop self and others. Develop others and self. That's what we believe in. On the right-hand side, there's 3 things that is creating value for an enterprise. Portfolio management, invest in innovation, research and development, and business transformation, efficiency in the model. Those 3 things on the right-hand side is why we, in addition to deliver good result every quarter, also have a roadmap relative to the future, which investor can look upon. They understand where we try to go, and we deliver every quarter on it. So this is a playbook that I would say everyone in 3M knows, and they can talk about it. They only need to know this, in fact. If you know this, you know what 3M is all about. Now, there's 2 things in the world that is driving growth. So we often talk about IPI, Industrial Production Index, and GDP. That's metrics. What is driving growth in the world is 2 things: technology conversion and demographic shift. Only 2 things. Those are the basic fundamental of growth in the world: technology conversion and demographic shift. That is why you need to, if you would like to have value creation, to invest in research and development and be around the world, because that's where the demographic shift is happening. The future is here already. And I think this is important for everyone to understand. I think that many have thinking about the future is coming later. Forget that. The future is here already. And there's a way to talk about this. I don't say the future is already here. I'm saying the future is here already. So in everything you see that going on in terms of many people think about that's type of a test or pilot, etc. No, that's the future, and it's here. And it's here now, and you need to capitalize on that, whatever it is in terms of technologies. And that's, as a leader, for anything you do, is for you to have the courage to make sure you invest in that now, because it has nothing to do about the future, has to do about what is happening today. Now, another thing that I have learned is people have very difficult time to change when the landscape is changing. They have a business plan. They go in, they see that this is not really working, but they still continue with the business plan. So I figure out if you take a map and you go out to the forest, and the forest and the map doesn't connect, one thing is right. The forest. If you have a business plan, and that business plan doesn't connect to the market, what is right? The market. This is one of the most fundamental things that's going wrong for companies. You know the companies, I know the companies that suddenly was operating in the forest. And in some cases, they had in fact planted the trees themselves and forgot about it. So what you have to do, you have to make sure that you change as you move forward. You have to disrupt yourself. You have to look into the forest and say, my plan and the market doesn't connect. Change as fast as you can. This is the biggest mistake companies are doing, and it's going down to entity levels in that company. Make sure that it's always connected. If not, you can be gone faster than you actually could recognize. So, agility is an important thing in business, and I use the word agility. Many people use the word speed. It's not about speed, it's about agility. Speed is different. You can be very fast and work with speed, but you can go off the road. It's about agility. Make sure that you move fast based on facts that you have. You need to have facts, and you need to move with agility. Agility is often in bigger enterprises held back by your organization structure. That is why I believe in fewer entities inside of the company. You will get fewer meetings, you'll get bigger projects, you will be able to invest more where you see the big opportunities. I think if you go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, the idea was many small entities that could move very, very fast. I personally believe that time is gone if you're an enterprise like 3M. Now you need to be relevant to your customers and your market, and you're only relevant if you have size as you move forward. Now, leadership had two elements into it, and the way I think about it is a microscope and it's a telescope. So when I put on my glasses, you see that on the upper picture, I think about the left-hand side is a microscope, and the right-hand side is the telescope. And you have to make sure that you operationally deliver now. But you also need to have the courage to look out and see what investment should we do for the future. And I think that leaders that only look into the microscope, by definition, will lose long term. And I think if you have leaders that only look into the telescope, the result short term will not be very good. And I don't think, in fact, if you lead a traded company that you will stay in office very long, right? Because investors would like to get the money back very fast, very fast. So very few are loyal to you in terms of long term and believe that the future will be fantastic 20 years from now. They hope that, but they would like to get the money now as well. So one of the tricks for leaders is how do you balance this, right? And we can talk about that later if you like. And you need to lead with a customer-first mindset. And the point with customer-first mindset is you cannot be transactional only. You need to understand your customer's business model. If you don't understand their business model, the probability for you to be successful with them is lower. And what do I mean with that? You need to understand what did you promise your customer. So if you deliver to them, you need to understand what is your promise to your customer. What is it? Is it in terms of quality? Is it in terms of delivery time? What is it? And in some cases, you have to fire a customer. Sometimes they say, this is what we have promised our customers, and you have to say, I cannot live up to that. Then you have to tell them. You have always to be honest with your customers. Tell them, I cannot deliver on that promise that you have given your customers. Because if you don't, they believe you can, and they will be disappointed in you. So just be very straight and all to understand what's your model, what have you promised your customers, and we will do everything to fulfill that if we can. If you figure out very early, I cannot, just tell them. And as I said, it's okay to fire a customer, especially if the margin is low. They can go away. They can work with your competitors, that's better. You know, the other thing is doing things better and different. So think about this in terms of innovation. If you take a bell curve, and on the left-hand side of that bell curve, you have individuals and processes that do things better. On the right-hand side, you have individuals and processes that are doing things differently. In the middle, you have the CEO. The CEO is always about best practices, right? Important. You need a CEO, right? So you have that in the middle. But if you only have people that do things better, you will not really create big value, because you need to have individuals that do things differently. That's what the big changes are. So if you do things better, you are probably only cannibalizing yourself. You're probably only winning on price. If you do things differently, you will be able to get into a different price point, and you could eventually change the world. So if you think about it practically, most of us today have smartphones. That idea, by definition, was not born of someone saying, I would do a phone like Nokia, Motorola, but that is better. It was not based on that. It was based on, I would like to do something different. There was a man that walked into 3M many years ago, and he had this idea that he said, why can we not have a TV that we can put on the wall like a painting? That's a crazy idea. Very different. Those times we had big TVs, right? That was the starting point for development, a very thin film that was the enabler for the development of the flat screen TVs. So what we do, we are enabling everything you see in the smartphones, everything you saw on the TVs, and many other things. It's different. If it was only to do it better, it's not the same value creation. So you have constantly, when you invest in research and development and other things, just think about, is this different or is it just better? You need to do better things, but the real value creation is for you to do it differently. Now, when we talk about leadership, in my view, in the past, business leadership was about one thing, business acumen. Today and in the future is about more than that. It's about business acumen, it's about understand the community. So the best leaders are also leaders that understand community, understand, if you go back to the vision, improve every life, engage in the community, because businesses operate in communities. So those are the things as you move forward that you need to think about, and you need really to make sure that your whole organization is part of that. And we do a lot of things, of course, in 3M globally in order to make sure that we are part of the community and in a way give back, because with a stronger community we operate, you better people you can attract to work for you, etc. And it's a safer and better environment, and the kids will grow up to better individuals. So life and leadership, that's a journey. So leadership and life, as we know, is a journey. You constantly learn, you constantly make mistakes, you have to adapt to it, and you have to be a better leader as you move. And we have been, for 3M, we have been very successful for many years, and it's based on very good leadership over time. And I don't think today that what we do to 3M is due to us only. I think we stand on the shoulder of people that have been there before. All of them have done different things. All of them have made mistakes. I made mistakes. And what you have to do then is just to recognize the mistake, learn from it, and that move on. And I think that's a message to everyone, in terms of leadership development and what should I do? Many people, what should I do? What's your advice? There's many advice for you in order for you to develop yourself as a leader. And as I said, build that mosaic, right? There's a mosaic for leaders. You build it, and you don't see it until you take a couple of steps back, and then you see the whole picture. But when you're close to it, you don't see it, right? That's what mosaic is all about. You just see a small piece. Then you get experiences, you do things, you have some successes, you have some failures, and then you take a step back, and then you can see the total picture. And that is what leadership is all about. And that is I think, why the best and strongest leaders can advise very well, because they have been able to take a couple of steps back and see the whole picture versus some initially just see this small piece, and because they have a small mosaic at that time. So thank you very much for inviting me. I think I stop here.